Hey everyone, I'm DC10, and in this video I'll be showcasing my Dalek Mod 1.16.5 add-on, which adds all of my classic TARDIS interiors to the mod. So this includes the Ruth Doctors, then the 1st, 2nd and 3rd, 4th and the 4th secondary, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and then the War Doctors. And just a little heads up, this is also completely compatible, I believe anyway, with my other add-on I've created, which adds the 9th and 10th, the 11th, the 12th and the 13th TARDISes. So if you want to, you can have every single one of the Doctor's TARDISes in the Dalek mod. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing, as this add-on took quite a long time to make, and we are getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, and I really need your help to get there. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the interiors. So once you're inside your TARDIS, you need to head over to this, the ARS, or the Architectural Reconfiguration System, and what you need to do is scroll along, and instantly you'll see some different ones. So here is the 5th, 6th and 7th, the 3rd, the 4th, 1st, and then the War, 8th and 2nd, and then Ruth. Now, it kind of does them in a bit of a weird order, which, you know, that's fine, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to start with the War Doctor and the Ruth Doctor and go along in chronological order. So once you press select, you've got to gather a load of resources to build this. I've obviously set all of these myself, and they're in the wrong order. That's really annoying, but oh well. And then press build, confirm, and then once you step back inside your TARDIS, you have got this, the Ruth Doctor's TARDIS. So just a heads up, I have not changed much in these interiors at all. I know that I could really use some of the Dalek Mod blocks, such as those of the roundels, to replace all the bone blocks. There's probably some much better blocks I could use for the floor. And another thing I was considering was scorched smooth quartz slabs for this, which look a lot more accurate to the Ruth Doctor's one. But I realized if I change all of these, they're basically not my TARDISes anymore. They're just the Doctor's TARDISes, and this add-on is specifically for my interiors. But yeah, feel free to change anything you want about these interiors once you download the add-on yourself. Anyway, back over to the ARS, we'll select the 1st, and then when you head on inside, you can see this right here. So I have changed a couple of things. I changed the light boxes because I just think they look so much better than the banners, and I also changed this to be a roundel door. Now, I know that this is also supposed to be a roundel door, but the trouble is, like an idiot, I left this as a 1-block center, meaning you can't actually put a roundel door in there because this is obviously 2 blocks, so it looks really off-centered and really weird. So I just left it as a normal, like, exit void, so you walk into it and you just go outside. But yeah, pretty much everything else has stayed the same. I've just added a scanner, a different type of rotor, all the controls and everything, and then changed these little food things, I think they were, into some fluid link things, and then another ARS machine. So then, next up, we'll check out the 2nd Doctor's TARDIS right here. So here's all the things you need to gather to build it. Then press confirm and head on inside, and you've got this one. Again, not much has changed. I've chosen to keep these banners because I genuinely couldn't think of anything else to replace them, and I actually do think they look quite cool. But I've changed the maps that were up here to our ARS and our fluid link thing, and then pretty much everything else is just the same. Although I've noticed that they are the wrong way around. That is really annoying. I mean, there's not much I can do about it now, but yeah, sorry about that. But if we head back over to the ARS, we can next up check out the 3rd. Again, not many of these have had many changes. However, as you probably saw in that image, the biggest change here is that on the console, I've chosen to go for one of these, a lime tube rotor. Now, my reasoning for this is in the show, it is actually green. And arguably, while it does probably look more like this glass rotor in the show than it does this, I figured the Ruth 1st and 2nd all have this glass rotor, so I thought I'd change it up a little bit. And this also does look really cool, especially with a little bit of carpet on top. And wait, I think I know what's happening. Okay, some of the blocks aren't generating properly. I didn't quite realize that the bone blocks don't always, like, generate in the same way. Okay, so that is something to bear in mind. Not all of the blocks generate correctly, but it more or less works. And then, just like with the 1st Doctor's TARDIS, I've added some roundel doors over here. Then, if we head back over to this, we'll check out the first sort of different one. And you can sort of see from the blocks that it requires, it's a little bit different. And that's because this technically includes 2 console rooms. Oh, this is breaking all over the place. I mean, to be fair, as you can see, it does sort of cross through them a lot, so I guess it's sort of bound to happen if you generate a lot at one time. But yeah, these slabs should obviously be like that, and I'm pretty sure most times, like 9 times out of 10, it will generate normally. It did in all of my tests. But anyway, if we just ignore that for a second, all the random bone blocks that are wrong. Oh, this is really annoying. Yeah, if we just ignore all of that, you can see we've got some roundel doors for the entrance right there. I've carried over this same sort of tube rotor thing, however, this one is red, just like it is in the show. And then if we head through these roundel doors, you can actually see we've got a corridor right here. And if we press this button and head on inside, this leads to the secondary console room. So again, this hasn't undergone very many changes. I did have to change a couple of things because these actually use lightning rods, and this was tinted glass, which obviously doesn't exist in this version. So yeah, there are a couple of things I had to change, but other than that, it's all pretty much the same. And then if we next up check out the 5th, 6th, and 7th, again, this one is pretty standard, fairly standard crafting recipe. And then if we head on inside, you can see we've got some more roundel doors for the entrance right here. We've got a couple of player heads, which I carried over from the original vanilla design, and I think these look really, really good. I genuinely couldn't find anything to replace them. I mean, obviously you could put scanners there, but they just look really big and intrusive, and they also don't work diagonally. And then you've got all the standard controls, a nice little monitor over there, and once again, carrying over this red tube rotor thing, just because I think it looks pretty cool. And I believe this TARDIS did also have a very similar, if not the same, rotor thing from the 4th Doctor's TARDIS, so it also makes a lot of sense. And then I've just added this table over here because I genuinely couldn't find a way to incorporate these into the build. They just didn't really look right no matter where I placed them, so I figured, why try to hide them? Let's just sub them right here. And then the next one we've got is arguably the most interesting, and that is the 8th Doctor's TARDIS right here. This requires a lot of different blocks to build it, including 1,300 dark prismarine, and yeah, you might have seen it, 20 netherite blocks. This is actually less netherite blocks than it generates with. I believe it generates with 22, so you actually gain netherite doing this, but I can imagine this would be pretty painful to gather, as well as a lot of other stuff. But then if we press confirm, give it a little while to build, because it's a bit bigger than the other ones, and head on inside. Here we go. Here is the 8th Doctor's TARDIS. Yeah, this is definitely the coolest one, and because of that, there's a lot more stuff to go over. So this was actually one of my more recent builds. It was a 1.18 build, meaning a lot of the blocks that I used aren't actually in this version of the game. However, first of all, it's important to say some of the carpet breaks and stuff, because the string can sometimes generate after the carpet, which just leaves it floating and then just doesn't generate at all. But that's a pretty easy fix. But I was saying, this was a 1.18.2 build, and one of the main things I used was candles. So I've had to replace these with torches, but it just doesn't look as good, so I'm really sorry about that. And then similarly with the door, I used deep slate. However, instead I've had to replace it with this polished basalt and this basalt, and I actually think it does look pretty cool, but the deep slate probably looks a bit cooler. And then finally over here at the sort of garden piano area, unfortunately we can't have any keys on the piano, because what I did is I used armor stands to make this, and when you generate a TARDIS you can't have any entities inside it, so item frames or anything, and armor stands do actually count as entities. And then I had to remove the Spore Blossom because obviously it doesn't exist. And the main thing you can probably see is that these leaves kind of look a little bit ugly, because for most of it in the other one I used azalea leaves, meaning it doesn't really matter like what biome you're in, they'll always look nice. However, obviously azalea leaves aren't in this, and we're also in the TARDIS dimension, which basically means that the leaves turn this gross brown color. But other than that, pretty much everything else is the same. The only other thing is around here in the console, and I've changed it to have these blue tube rotors because they are absolutely perfect. And yeah, here is your ARS machine and your fluid links just up here instead of the netherite blocks. And then finally, we'll just check out the War TARDIS. So this is the one that's probably closest to all of my New Who ones. It's quite a lot smaller than this one. The main thing this requires is probably the beacon, and this is more just for a decorational thing, but I've shoved it on there anyway because, you know, I don't want you getting a free beacon out of it or anything. But once you press confirm and head on inside, you can see this is what the War Doctor's TARDIS looks like, and the beacon will activate in a second. Oh, wait, I've just realized. Okay, that's something to bear in mind. So, because this actually generates, like, within the 8th Doctor's TARDIS, as you can see, they don't get rid of the old ones, they just override each other. What's happened is that the 8th Doctor's TARDIS has sort of blocked the way a little bit. Okay, so if we... Oh, I'm totally missing here, aren't I? Okay, if we punch a hole there, then the beacon will shine through. And yeah, as you can see, it creates quite a cool effect. But we'll just briefly go over all of the other stuff. So I've had to change this for the item frame to an acacia button, because like I said earlier, you can't have entities inside a TARDIS. I've obviously had to change these signs because they used to glow, but that's not a thing in this version. And then I've also changed the main rotor to be tube rotors. Now, I know I could have got rid of the carpet because these lines were sort of the illusion that these carpets were creating, but I actually think it looks really cool with them, and it also looks a bit empty without them, so I thought I'd sort of just leave them there. And other than that, pretty much everything else is the same. So there we go. I know this was a very, very quick video, sort of a whistle-stop tour of all of the different TARDISes, but there's loads and loads and loads of them, and this add-on took enough time to make already, so I'm not going to go into loads and loads of detail, because if you'd like to see more detail, you can just head over to the TARDIS tutorials playlist on my channel, where you can find a tutorial to the vanilla, more updated versions of all of these TARDISes. So how do you download this for yourself? Well, there will be a link in the description or in the hashtag add-ons channel in the SWOD Team community Discord, and once you click that link, you just need to download it. Now, once you extract this .zip file, you will find one which is Classic Interiors DP, which stands for Data Pack, and then one which is RP, which is the Resource Pack. So simply just place the Resource Pack one in your Minecraft Resource Packs folder, as you can see right here. You can literally just drag it in, as I have, and what that does is it means you can have all those really lovely images on the ARS. And then similarly with the data packs, when you're creating a new world, just head over to the data packs icon and once again just drag them in. It looks a lot like the resource pack one. You just drag them onto this side and then press this little arrow and it carries them over to this side. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments and I will help you out. Now just to clarify, this is only for the Dalek mod, which means this isn't for Bedrock or Minecraft Pocket Edition. This is just for Java and it will only work if you have the Dalek mod installed in the first place. So if you'd like to install that, I've also left a link to it in the description. But that's pretty much it from me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment, and if you'd like to see more content like this, then please subscribe. But I've been DT10, and I will see you in the next video.